Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today's NSE webinar is titled Solidify Your Campus NSE Program. Review Campus NSE Implementation Guidelines. My name is David Holliday, VP of NSE. I'm also the NSE coordinator at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. I have hosted this webinar in the past, I think even just a year ago, but I do feel like it's important to revisit it this year and time again, I think for multiple reasons. Um, First of all, we will be going through the implementation guidelines, actually the confirmation documents that we use with brand new NSE member campuses. So every time a new campus joins, we have set procedures and set forms that the campus fills out with our assistants. And this really helps that new campus to learn the NSE policies and procedures and to document their own policies and procedures for their NSE program on their campus. It also requires signatures from key campus stakeholders, so everybody's on the same page. And this really helps a campus launch their NSE program on a solid footing. Just a few moments ago, Sarah McCormick from one of our brand new member campuses, Northern New Mexico College, was talking about going through the implementation guide process and becoming a new member. And it took a while on your campus, which is totally fine and normal. But you've launched and you're flying. You have 5 outgoing students in your first year, which is probably a record, I would say, Sarah. So kudos to you. So second of all, we continue to see turnover in the NSE coordinator position. We've been seeing this really quite more often in the last 5 or 6 years. In the past year alone, we've onboarded about 30 new coordinators. So these are new people on existing member campuses coming into the role. It's common for these coordinators to receive little to no NSE information or documentation from their predecessor. This causes undue stress for them as they attempt to piece things back together. And unfortunately, this sometimes can affect their incoming and outgoing students, which we all really hate to see. It also honestly can put the NSE program in jeopardy on that particular campus. So one thing we're going to talk with all of you about and the rest of the consortium is actually going through this process on your own campus to make sure that you have solid documented guidelines for the next person that may be taking over your NSE program. Lastly, I'll be sharing portions of my NSE program that I've been working on for the University of Minnesota. I've been in my role for 20 years, and I will admit that too many of my systems and processes are in my head. My key contacts are all over the place on campus, and they're also in my head. And I realized this year that if anything were to change, if I were abducted by aliens or something else, my replacement would be in a really tough spot. So I am working on a manual. It's not quite ready today to share with everybody, but I will be sharing it once it's complete via the NSE listserv. I encourage you to copy and paste and otherwise use my guide, my manual for your own campus processes and purposes. So today's session is going to focus on 3 areas. So first of all, we'll review the NSE implementation guidelines. You will receive this document at the end of the session. I'd encourage you to fill it out and document the basic framework of your NSE program on your campus. If you haven't done so already, this will help facilitate that. I'll also be sharing portions of my NSE program manual from the U of M. As I said earlier, this will document processes and procedures and my key campus contacts that are all currently in my head. And if and when I move to another position, not that that will ever happen, Deborah, I promise, I'm not going anywhere. I want to leave a solid guide for the next person in my role. And lastly, I'd like to hear from you. We will do some troubleshooting on any issues you're having on your campus, and there'll be plenty of time for Q&A as well. And if you have questions or comments along the way, oops, I didn't click those other 2 buttons. If you have questions or comments along the way, please put them in the chat, or we are a small group. I'm happy to just have a conversation today as well. I have to switch my screen share here to pull up a different document. And like I said, we're going to start with the campus program implementation confirmation. So our brand new member campuses, including Sarah McCormick and a couple others that are still in the works, this is actually their final step of finalizing membership. NSE, we facilitate a lot of training and a lot of conversations on campus. And if you, I will say, even veteran coordinators and established campuses would like our assistance to develop this form for your own campus, have meetings with key campus stakeholders, we are happy to do so. Just feel free to reach out. And like I said as well, we will be sharing a copy of this form, and it's an editable PDF, so you can actually type in here and mark things of note or make comments on each particular area as well. So I'm going to go through this. Not going to cover every section. I'm going to kind of highlight some key things that every campus needs to be aware of and to establish on their campus. And I'll also share some insights from the University of Minnesota. It is important, again, remember that NSE is your campus program. There are many options and many choices that each campus makes in order to establish and run their NSE program. And so a lot of this form allows you to indicate, oh, yes, we're doing this, and document your specific processes. So the first section really is about those student payment plans. And so we do ask campuses to indicate which tuition payment plan or plans will you participate in NSE on, or allow your students to participate on NSE on. Now, again, we do offer home payments. I think almost all of our campuses do offer home payment, incoming and outgoing. And that means students continue to pay their normal tuition and fees to their home campus. No tuition is paid to the host campus. And so there are some things to note here. What is your policy regarding home payment? Are you open, meaning you'll accept any and all eligible applicants on that tuition plan? Uneven means you have a little bit of flexibility. You can get a little out of balance, but not crazy, not wide open. And then we do have some campuses that do have to remain even on home tuition plan. And so that has to do with real tuition dollars on the campus. Incoming students are actually paid, their tuition is paid by those outgoing students on home payment. Now I'll go back up here to away payments, and hope all of you know this, that we did revise the terminology. We've been using host payment for the last many years. For a variety of reasons, we have revised that to away payments moving forward. And away payment means the student pays in-state or in-province tuition and fees to their host campus. No tuition or fees are paid to the home institution. So again, establish your policies. Are you open on away payment? Are you uneven? Are you even, et cetera, on that payment plan as well? So, one thing that's really important when it comes to making this particular decision is regarding tuition waivers and things like that. Some of our campuses are limited, either as a whole, all complete, not allowing incoming students to pay in-state tuition on away payment. That's why some campuses do not participate on this tuition payment plan. So again, having conversations with the appropriate folks on your campus is important. And so these policies are reciprocal in terms of you have to offer the same tuition plans incoming as you offer outbound. Although there is a little bit of flexibility. We have some campuses that are bound by state policy or state guidelines. That means they cannot bring in students on away payment because they cannot offer in-state tuition to those students. And that has been a barrier in the past, but NSE actually encourages flexibility. Those campuses that can only accept on home pay, we actually do allow and encourage you to send outbound on both tuition plans, home payment and away payment. Okay, and as I said, stop me if you want to talk about anything a little bit further, if anything that I'm saying is confusing. Okay, so this form is really built to talk about specific processes or a specific stakeholder on campus. So we do start here with admissions, and specifically for incoming students, we ask that you establish your policies for working with incoming students. Sometimes there's a variation between home pay and away pay students. Not always, but that's something you can indicate here. And documenting that process itself. So I think a lot of us have an application form that NSE students complete. Sometimes it's the actual admissions form or the transfer admissions form. Whatever that process is, make sure that it's documented there. The other piece here are the application fees. A lot of our campuses do have an admissions application fee. We actually encourage the NSE procedure is to waive those incoming application fees. We want to reduce barriers and fees to those incoming students. But if that's not possible, we do ask that you document the fee amount. Registration. So the first section is regarding outgoing students registration. Now it is NSE procedure or policy that every NSE student should be registered at their home institution while they're away on exchange. So most of us have holding courses or placeholder registration courses, and so make sure that those are in place. Document the names of those courses, the number of credit hours, things like that, and so outline this entire process here as well. On my campus, I have two tuition or two placeholder courses. One of them is for home pay students. The holding course charges students tuition because they're on home pay. That also allows for their financial aid to be dispersed. Now, for my away payment students, I also have a placeholder registration, but it has zero tuition attached to it. This is PeopleSoft terminology, tuition units, financial aid units. So it has zero tuition units attached, but it has full financial aid units attached because both home and away students should be eligible for financial aid through their home institution. Then regarding incoming students, we also ask that you document the registration process for those students. And this is something you really need to think through and make sure that you have solid, clear guidelines and instructions for those incoming students. Many of our campuses, I think NSE students have access to online registration. Once they have a student ID number from the admissions office, then they're allowed access to the registration system. We do know that some of you actually coordinate registration as the NSE coordinator. And I think a few campuses do registration through the registrar or through another person on campus. So be aware of and document again those policies. One other thing I want to point out over here is the priority registration. So this determines when an incoming student actually will register for classes. The most common option when I'm looking through campus profiles is I see this according to class standing. So that means if the student's a junior, they register with juniors, sophomores with sophomores, etc. So kind of equal playing field, they register according to their class standing. We do have some campuses where students register first or sometimes with juniors. We also have a few campuses that will say NSE students register with new students. So that's after campus students, kind of during open registration. So again, establish those policies and then also make sure that those are marked on your campus profile. This should actually go back and forth between this form and your NSE campus profile. I know I'm talking a lot. I'm going to try to tighten it up a little bit on some of these things. Financial aid, this is a really key process. So over 50% of NSE students identify as Pell eligible. And in addition to that, many of these students also are receiving other forms of federal financial aid, other state-based aid, and campus scholarships as well. So NSE students, by and large, receive a lot of financial aid. So it's very important that you have solid processes and that you yourself understands how this works and have a solid relationship with your financial aid office. So for both home and away, students fill out their FAFSA, applying for aid from their home campus. That is NSE policy. And actually, this is Deborah, there's a few things that I want to revise on this form, actually. Both home and away students should actually have their financial aid package revised to be based on the real cost of attendance. We need to add this line up to that away spot, and I just caught that right now. Because financial aid is processed at the home institution, but it should be based on or revised based on the cost of attendance at that other school. So certainly room and board at the other school, but also tuition if they're on away pay. Tuition will be assessed by that other campus. It's important to note financial aid disbursement. Is it dispersed early or at the start of the semester or later than that? And make sure students are aware of that process as well. And for incoming students, of course, financial aid is easy. It's processed at their home institution. That host school doesn't need to worry about financial aid. Transcripts, pretty self-explanatory. Incoming students usually have to have a transcript sent at the beginning of their exchange or as part of their onboarding process. This is used to determine course prerequisites, class standing, major. We do encourage campuses to allow for unofficial transcripts to be submitted. Of course, those are free, easier for students to obtain. And so if that meets your purposes for verifying prerequisites and things, then that is encouraged. And those returning students also have to have their transcripts sent back to the home institution as well. Um, the returning students at the end of their exchange, when their grades are posted, have to have that transcript sent back to the home school. And so outline your process for all of that as well. Billing for tuition and fees. So, of course, all the money matters, financial aid and everything else. These are really critical things to have in place and have a solid plan for. So, when you're sending out outgoing students, they should not be billed tuition or fees at your home institution. And home pay, they should be billed their regular tuition. Now, sometimes for overages, if students are taking more than 15 credits or something, either on home or away, they may be billed additional credit hours. The other variation on this form, actually, that we should add is online courses. I am seeing personally more and more of my students wanting to take online classes at the home campus while they're away on exchange, and those oftentimes are actually assessed tuition. They're not assessed tuition if they're on away pay, they're paying tuition to the other school, but they would be assessed tuition for those online courses they're taking back home. And then similarly for incoming students, those away pay students, make sure they are being billed properly at that in-state, in-province rate. So documenting all of that. Payment plans, it is important. I'm actually working with one of my students right now on exchange this summer. And we're navigating the payment plan process at that host institution. That host campus wants to be paid, of course, for room and board, especially. Financial aid is not quite dispersed, so we're navigating that payment plan process. Let's see. I think the rest of that is pretty clear. Billing room and meals for incoming students. One thing that I actually encourage that's not outlined here, it's kind of, I think, implied, is that we really want host campuses to offer on-campus housing and have a reserved number of spaces available for NSE students. I'm able to negotiate on my campus 15 spaces reserved for NSE students every semester. My campus, like many of yours, I think probably is at capacity with regard to housing. There is a wait list, but my housing office does me a real favor and they reserve some rooms for me until a certain date. So for fall semester, those 15 spaces are reserved until June 1st. And so as long as my incoming NSE students apply on time, they are guaranteed housing. If they apply late, or for students that maybe apply late and are accepted late, they may not necessarily have on-campus housing. So make sure that you have negotiated that or asked to negotiate that with your housing office, but then make sure it's clear how and when do students pay. Sometimes I think housing is oftentimes an auxiliary unit, and they sometimes accept payments and things outside of the normal bursar's office or accounts payable office. So make sure that that's clear on your campus as well. Advising agreement. I actually did the webinar last month on developing advising agreements for your students. This is critical, of course. There should be an advising agreement in place that identifies the courses they plan to take and identifies how those courses will fit into the student's home campus degree program. So whether that form is completed or the process is completed by their academic advisor or the registrar, maybe other people involved as well. So document that. And then also document where that should go. So I will tell you a quick anecdote. I'm working with a student right now that did not follow all of my instructions, and they went away on exchange, did not have their courses all evaluated and approved, despite many requests and pleas from me. And this was a fall semester student, when they came back, 2 of the courses they took are not transferable to the U of M. And so we're navigating that process. And so that really stressed to me the importance of compelling students to complete that requirement. So I need to actually revise my process and see if there's a way I can compel it for the student. Health records, health insurance, again, every campus has a different process or policy for collecting this information. So feel free to indicate all of those things as well. And then, as I said earlier, there's also spaces for signatures. So this form is really meant to be a conversation between you and all of these appropriate offices and people on your campus to make sure that there's a solid plan, that everybody's on the same page, that will really provide a streamlined process for your students, incoming and outgoing. So, the signatures may not necessarily be important at this time for your purposes, just to document these things, although it wouldn't hurt to actually have those signatures on all of these forms. Okay, so again, this is kind of the bare bones document, and this would be, I think, the bare minimum of what our campuses should document in terms of their campus processes. I do want to stop here real quick and see if there are any questions about anything that we talked about or that I skipped over on this particular form. And again, I will be sharing this form with all of you, and we would ask that you actually fill it out and have the conversations with folks on your campus if you don't have these things documented already.
Hey, David,
Yes.
this is Dr. Vaughn.
Yes. Hello.
Hi.
Alabama State. Welcome.
Will we be going over the campus, the updated one? Because I'm in the process of trying to update my campus profile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I'm happy to have a meeting with you offline. You
Okay.
are, a brand new NSE coordinator, and some of that can be, yeah, can be a little confusing to work through. So I'd be
Okay.
happy to go through this.
I'll just set one with you later. Thank you, but I'll stay
Yeah,
on here because I'm
sounds great.
learning.
Sounds great. Okay, so now what I'm going to share is the Google Doc, the program manual that I'm working on for my campus. So it is still a work in progress, as I said. Um, and so there are a few different sections that I'll share here. There is still some things that I need to work on. But what this is really a more detailed and expanded version of what I just went through that really will put in writing all of my key processes and procedures so that, again, if I were to ever move on from my position, I'm able to hand this to the next person, my replacement, and they'll be able to hit the ground running. The first thing I want to look through is the table of contents. And so this is detailed, and I don't want people to become overwhelmed uh, because this is what I've chosen to do. You may not necessarily need to go into such great detail. But I'll give you some reasons for why I'm going into great detail. So, and again, some of this is still a work in progress. But the first thing I wanted to outline is the mission statement section here. My longtime supervisor of 20 years, over 20 years, is actually resigned this past spring. So I will be having a new boss, a new director of our office. And that is actually what really compelled me to to get in and rebuild this document. Um, it also really made me think that I need to do a better job of making the case for why NSE matters at the University of Minnesota. I get it. My boss, who just resigned, really gets it. I have a lot of key stakeholders and key contacts across the university that really get it as well. Um, but I want to put in writing why NSE matters. And so one thing that I'm working on is documenting the NSE, the University of Minnesota mission statement. And actually, we just this past winter relaunched a new strategic plan for the next 10 years. And so I'm actually identifying how NSE fits into all of these different strategic plan points or pillars that we're talking about. And so, a couple of things is experiential education is going to be really emphasized, and that could be internships, it could be study abroad, it could be study away, things like NSE. Um, there's also a real focus on career development. And I'm making the case for how and why NSE fits into career development goals on my campus as well. And so if anybody, the provost on down, ever has questions about NSE, I will have documented proof, and some of it will be anecdotal, some of it will be more quantitative data of how NSE really does meet the strategic plan and the mission of the University of Minnesota. I'm doing the same thing for my office. I'm the Center for Community Engaged Learning. I know some of you are in different offices. We have a lot of study abroad folks. We have academic advising. We have career services. We have lots of folks in different units. You also want to make the case for why NSE fits in your unit. And so, Center for Community Engaged Learning, we are all about experiential education, mostly on a domestic or mostly on a local setting here in the Twin Cities. But NSE really allows for this place-based education across the country, actually across North America. And then I'll also be, of course, identifying NSE's mission statements in this document as well. So, nobody other than the person taking over for me in the future will probably read all of this. This is more of for an internal document. But if anybody comes to me and says, "Hey, why does NSE matter?" I'm going to have some ready-made, bullet points and quotes and things that I can pull and send to anybody who asks. I'll also be outlining, NSE's basic history, history of U of M's affiliation with NSE. So, one thing we've had my campus joined in early 80s, mid 80s, I think like that, something like that. And, one thing that NSE has a long history. We're coming up on 60 years here, and a lot of your campuses have been members for 30, 40, 50 years. And so, documenting, highlighting that long history of campus relationship with NSE is really important and compelling, I think. And that can strengthen the program and again educate the people around you or the people reading this about why NSE has been so important to your university for that long. Program goals and objectives. So, a couple of things that I've been asked to do as well and felt compelled to do is to really identify, what are the goals of NSE, the objectives. And I'm going to be leaning into NSE student development goals. We do have those articulated. The NSE Council actually a couple years ago worked on those. So I'll be leaning into that. I'm also going to be highlighting, I'll give a plug for next month's webinar on NSE and career development. Mindy May is here, will be one of the co-presenters, because, like I said, I want to make the case of how NSE can also fit into the career development goals on our campus. 1984, there we go. No, I was born. I was just out of diapers. So anyways, I'm belaboring some of these points, but hopefully it's important, or you realize the importance of this type of work on for your own campus. So I'll be also outlining our recruitment methods, the advising process, the application process. And, I always like to point out that NSE has requirements for the application process. I've done a webinar on that, and that's basically through the NSE website and placement portal. But many of our campuses have our own requirements as well. Could be other eligibility requirements. It could be supplemental materials that you collect from students, and so documenting those. I'll be highlighting the placement process and then all of these procedures. So once you have an outgoing student, what are the things you do pre-departure, during, and post-exchange? Incoming student processes pre-arrival, during exchange, post-exchange as well. And so these are the processes. And I do plan to revisit these things. Again, these are all in my head. I'm mostly typing things, hey, they do this and then they do this. But I am pulling in links and key contacts and things like that as well. So documenting all of these processes is important. Personnel, which basically is me running the NSE program at the University of Minnesota. I do have a couple of student staff as well, and then budgeting. So I've been fortunate enough for a long time to have my own budget. It's gotten a little bit messier or more complicated due to an administrative change. We're reporting to a different unit. This was several years ago. But there are also some opportunities that came with that. Things like capturing a portion of the tuition dollars relating to NSE and things like that. So outlining the budget. These are, complicated things that happen on our campus and budget strings and things like that I want to make sure is written down for somebody in the future to see. Key stakeholders. So especially in these processes, I have identified, For incoming students, the admissions process is the first place. Laura Berglund is my contact at admission. So I have that documented up here in the pre-arrival section, but I also have a list of all the key stakeholders and partners across my campus. The other thing is I'm doing, and this is just for myself, is to set some long-term goals. How I want the NSE program to grow and evolve on my campus. Um, I do have a solid NSE program, typically, 80 to 100 outgoing students every year, 15 to 20 to 25 incoming. But I actually think there's room for growth. I'd love to see more students participating in the program. But there are some other long-term goals I have regarding helping students make meaning of the experience, doing a little bit better job with reflection before, during, after the exchange, setting up a mentor program and things like that. So I do have some long-term goals that I'll be listing there as well. So, again, I will finish this document. My plan is hopefully tomorrow to have this finished, and then I will share this out along with a copy of this webinar for folks to see. And again, feel free to copy and paste from it. Your processes are going to be different than mine, most likely. So make sure that you are not just copy and pasting and leaving as is, but revising as necessary. Okay. I'm going to stop talking, and I'd love to hear from. Actually, you know what? I always forget to do this. I do have a couple of a couple of quizzes that I had meant to fold in here along the way. So, first one I'm going to launch is, um, which tuition payment plan or plans does your campus utilize? All right, I'm going to end that poll and I will share the results. So, the majority of us, 67% do offer both tuition plans, home pay and away pay, and about 5 of us offer home pay only. And that's fine. These are institutional decisions, and sometimes, like I said, they're bound by state policy or campus policy. But if anyone ever wants to have conversations about why you're doing it as you are, or if there's strategy to offering both payment plans, we're always happy to have that conversation. Okay, next question. Financial aid. So NSE students on home pay qualify for financial aid from which campus or campuses? Is that visible on your end? There's actually, yeah, two questions here as well. I don't use the Zoom polls and quizzes often enough. I don't know why I have two questions here that are visible at the same time. Actually, three questions. Holy cow. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and we'll share the results. So, NSC students on home pay qualify for financial aid from which campus? Their home campus. Everybody who answered that is correct. Financial aid comes from the home campus. Now, we do have a little bit of cleanup here. There's some learning still that needs to happen. NEC students on away pay qualify for financial aid from which campus? So 5 of you got that answer right, 71% their home campus. But unfortunately, the 2 right here, the 29% answered their host campus. So you might be veterans or you might be remembering the NSE process about 7 or 8 years ago, but we did change the financial aid awarding process based on Department of Education requests and feedback, that all financial aid, whether they're on home or away, needs to be processed through their home campus. So if the 2 folks here, maybe that was a mistake, but if you want to talk more about that to make sure that you're complying with NSE policy, I'm happy to have that conversation. And then number three, federal aid is guaranteed for students placed on home pay. I have a typo there, sorry. How does your campus handle state-based aid and campus-based scholarships? 33% said available for home pay only students, and I think that is fairly common. And then 67% I'd said available for both home and away pay students. So that's how my campus operates. We send all aid, federal, state, and university scholarships with NSE students, regardless of tuition payment plan. And that is, of course, in the student's best interest. If you can lobby for that to happen, that's a really nice service to offer students. But sometimes there are restrictions on state-based aid and on university scholarships. Okay. I think I showed that already. Okay. Little fun, little engagement, maybe. So I'd love to hear from all of you. Are there specific processes or procedures that you're struggling with on your campus? And feel free to unmute and speak up, or you can use the chat as well. Everything's going just peachy, huh?
I can say for me, financial aid is like always on a case by case basis, like
Okay.
pretty much no matter what. So it's really hard to have like a policy for that. I pretty much just have to, like, my policy is pretty much just tell students to go talk to financial aid because I can't answer their question.
Yeah. No, of course. And I should have said that. I am also not a financial aid advisor. And I have an elevator pitch, and I do say in emails, in writing, and when I'm presenting on NSE, I tell students most of your financial aid will apply to NSE, but talk to the financial aid office to confirm.
That's
Uh,
what I have to do too.
Yep, yep. And so, and I have a really great relationship with I have one person in the financial aid office. I'd encourage you to build a relationship with a single person if at all possible. Kathy attended the conference last fall and has presented with me before in webinars. She's great, really helpful, and she knows NSE. And so every student connects with her. They fill out a budget form to outline the specific costs related to their exchange, and then she'll confirm what aid will apply. So yes, build up that relationship and make that referral always. Yes. Yes, Michael.
Hi, David and Deborah. How are you today?
Very
I,
good.
I actually I actually mentioned this question before, and I should have written the answer down. But your last question about what sort of challenges might you have, or sort of procedures that, how did you handle? And I know you answered this, and again, I apologize for not writing it down earlier. The challenge I've always had, this is how it's always been done on our campus for many years, regarding registration. I mainly handle the registration on my campus because of the prerequisites. Many of our courses, like all of you, have prerequisites to their courses.
Yeah.
We have an abbreviated form. I've tried to get our institution to go more towards the full admissions form, but we have abbreviated guest student application. But problematic with that is the courses that the students have taken at their home institutions are not embedded in our PeopleSoft system,
Yeah.
right? So when they're going to they can't self-register for, let's say, anatomy and physiology if they haven't had general biology. So I have to register the vast majority of our students.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how you circumvent that process, because it does fall on the one coordinator for the most part to do the registrations, and sometimes the classes are full. And
Yeah.
if you have a system similar to ours, PeopleSoft, if you put a student on a wait list and they don't have the prerequisites, the waitlist system will skip them
Yeah.
and keep skipping them. So number 2 gets in before us. Number 3
Yeah.
gets in before us. So
Yeah.
I'm really committed before I leave this world someday. I'm committed to getting a resolve on this and make it more streamlined for both me and the students. And I'm wondering
Yeah.
what you could offer for words of wisdom.
We'll say retirement, Michael, as opposed to, leaving this world
I
another
meant
way.
retirement. I didn't
There
mean
we go.
leaving the NSE world, but
Of
leaving
course, I know.
retirement.
I'm just joking. So, and I'd love to hear others on how you all manage this as well. So on my campus, Michael, I ask every incoming student to send me their top 4 or 5 choice camp classes and then a couple alternates as well. So right away after they're accepted, I share with them our course schedule and have them choose classes and send those to me just in an email. And I'm able to do a little bit of guidance with that information and help the students from there. There are many, many courses that registration occurs seamlessly and don't require prereq checks or permission or anything like that. But we have some as well, many, I would say, upper division especially. If I note those classes that are going to be a challenge or require some sort of special permission, I will actually direct the student to the advisor of that department. And that's our process at the U of M is every advisor, academic advisor, helps student evaluate prerequisites and register. Or give a permission number is our process. They don't register them; they give a permission number, and that will actually help them if they're on a wait list. Having that permission number will, keep their spot in line and allow them to register. So for me, it's been building relationships with academic advisors, and actually, I should say even above that, we have every school has different advising structures. Mine has sort of college level advising that occurs, and then there's some departmental level advising as well. I have built relationships with every director of advising that kind of oversees both groups in each college. So we have 12 different colleges at the University of Minnesota. I have relationships with the top head of advising for each of those, and then they help kind of pass the word down to different departmental advisors and things if permission is needed. So yeah, so for me, it's I kind of am the first line and direct students accordingly to the right people. But I also put it on the student. They need to be selecting the courses. They need to be identifying if there are prerequisites and confirm at least that they think they have the prerequisite before they register. And so it's not a perfect system either, Michael. It is a little bit tedious, I will say, for myself as well to kind of be that middle person. I did revise those instructions about probably 5 years ago because I used to just say, students, go contact departments, contact advisors if you need assistance. But that was not a good service to the student because they didn't necessarily know the questions to ask or the right people to approach.
Thank you for that. Just to follow up really quickly, we don't have that same type of structure. Obviously, the advisors don't really have any authority. I have to actually deal with the chair of the departments,
Okay.
and sometimes even the associate deans. And I've established really strong working relationships with them. But I feel like I'm in a better position than the students who don't know the inner workings of our institution.
Yeah.
So I just sort of take it upon myself to do it. But I do try to get the students, but I'll see an email they sent and it's like, oh, I want to get into your class. I really am interested. Great. And I write this very elaborate long email saying, oh, the intricacies of our waitlist system prevent blah blah. So I have greater success doing it myself, but I would like to be able to pass it off eventually to the students. So I think your suggestions are well taken.
I shared this with Deborah. I think this was back in maybe December or I had a student coming in wanting to take courses in our College of Business, which is clearly marked as limited, restricted, no guarantees. And the student emailed the dean of the college, and that email ended up being forwarded to the academic advisors and then forwarded to me. But the subject or the heading of the email the student sent was, "Hey, Dean, I'd like to access this course." And so very, in unprofessional, of course. I'm able to do some guiding of this student in terms of professionalism and things like that, and so it ended up okay. That's the other thing to do as well is for some of us that do have limitations or restricted programs or closed programs. And that's also why I do ask the students ahead of time to send me the list of courses they want to take, because I want to head it off. If they're requesting courses in a closed department, I'm going to tell them right away, not going to work. Choose another class. I did see a couple in the chat here. Katie Utah State sends course requests with transcripts to the appropriate academic advisors. If they approve them, they're able to waive the prerequisite. Kaylee asks, do you ever need faculty approvals for course regs? So I think most departments can handle course permissions either at the advising level, or if not, they may reach out to the faculty. But I don't, and I don't have students reach out to the faculty for that. Alexandra, one person in the registrar's office helps. That's awesome. Send me the top 10 ranked list of courses along with their transcripts. We built her schedule from that getting approval. Since it's only one student, they also have to let us do a capacity override for one course, which I wasn't expecting. That's awesome. So make friends, build relationships with folks on your campus. Because yes, if it means trying to get into a class that's full, or navigating a difficult prerequisite situation, the stronger relationship you have with a department or an advisor can really help with that. So yes, one of the pros of a small school. And that's always my advice. I'm on a giant university, probably one of the biggest in the consortium. Is identifying those key people. Don't just send students out into the void, or even yourself, sending emails out to the void. Have a key person in a particular college, in the financial aid office, in admissions, that is your go-to person. And again, that's what this whole webinar is about. Okay, any other insights, I guess, into that registration question, or any other challenges you're facing?
Hi, David.
Hi, Sharon.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Wanted to jump in. I'm very lucky that I'm housed in the study abroad office, and there is an individual who is not an advisor, but she is tasked with registering international and national students. I mean, I tell my students, I give instructions for them to register on their own, with very specific instructions, with very specific professional, how to request assistance from this person in our office, give your QCID, give the courses you want, and all that.
Yep.
But she's made friends with the departments, and she had somehow gotten access to register and override if she has to.
Yep.
And she knows when to ask if she needs permission. So I always submit transcripts to her when the students are asking me for help, so that she has their transcripts. She could see, submit it to the departments, and we managed to get students registered. The biggest problem for me is onboarding students that they don't respond. You send them instructions, follow-ups.
Yeah.
Some of the students are really on top of their game, immediate and fantastic. But I'm finding, I'm not here that long, going into, I think, my 4th year, and I'm finding the students are more needy and need their hands held, and you have to chase them more. I don't understand the mentality. It's getting a little bit worse.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the post-COVID generation, that they needed all this assistance, but that's the only issue, is getting them to move quicker, because you keep telling them, time is of the essence. You want to get yourself registered. You want to get things done, and they don't move quickly at all.
Yeah. Yep.
Somebody else is struggling.
University of South Dakota too. I am too. I really, a couple of things, and it's been probably at least a year or two. I've actually, I resort to texting and sometimes calling students if there is a really urgent matter. Sharon, the student that you and I have emailed about several times this year, she doesn't respond to emails. I call or text her.
Yeah, what I meant to ask you, what's happening with her?
Yeah, well, I'll follow up offline.
Yeah.
As far as I know, she's good. As far as on this end, at least, things are good.
Okay. I have a couple of students, unfortunately, that I'm finding that I've students who requested to extend their placement for another semester, and now I'm finding that they have like bursar holds, and I have to, really clamp down. I'm emailing coordinators because the students are not responding to me, but I don't think they're responding to the coordinators either.
Yeah. I think I do speculate that maybe it is just this generation of students, because it does seem worse this year than even 3 or 4 years ago. But calling or texting, especially if it's really urgent. I know that that I'm instructed only to use their campus-based email, their .edu. But
No, I use Gmails.
I do end up, yeah,
To both.
CCing
I
their
give them
Gmail in case they're checking Gmail more often or something.
right.
Um, so and then having firm deadlines, and if a student misses a deadline because they weren't paying attention to their email, then they're out of luck. They register late or they don't get housing or whatever it may be. So yeah, and I do think it was really interesting. I've been bugging my outgoing students. I need to know how many credits they're taking and things like that for determining financial aid. We still have a couple of months, but um, uh, two of the students actually were responding to me right away. The rest were not. But the minute finals ended, all of a sudden I got responses from all of the students, and they said I just needed to get through finals, and I kind of blocked everything out, and I'm sorry for the delay. And so I think students are feeling stressed as well, whether it's school or life or anything else, and so I try to give them a little grace too. Yeah. Anything else? Any other issues you're encountering? Well, wonderful. I really appreciate you all being here. I know I talked a lot, but I really actually appreciate some of the discussion afterwards. I think I'll try to do that more with webinars moving forward. Um, Watch for a recording of this session and the documents that I mentioned. And again, I'm going to work on my manual, and maybe I'll have to share that out once it's done. But I hope that the implementation confirmation form is a real basic framework for you to start plugging in if you don't have anything in place already. But I do encourage you to do something a little bit more robust if necessary. Um, and so really appreciate the time. I appreciate you all being here. And next month, I forget the date, I think it's June 19th or so, will be the NSE and career development topic, which I think will be really timely and really important for all of us as well. And as always, don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything that we can do for you. Thanks so much, everyone.